Welcome to AmeriBest. I am Kevin McPoyle, the Chief Compliance and Quality Officer for the company. I'm going to share some important information about our compliance and quality program here at AmeriBest. Now, this session may be a bit more detailed than the other orientation sessions you have watched so far. That's only because there's much you need to understand about compliance and quality here at AmeriBest. You will receive a copy of these slides, so you don't have to worry about writing down all the information on your screen. Just listen and pay attention as I walk you through a couple important topics, like the importance of quality and how we define it, how compliance is everybody's responsibility, including now yours. So we'll talk about some important compliance topics you need to be aware of. I will talk about open communications and the need to speak up if you see anything that doesn't look right. And then we'll wrap up with several tips you need to follow to help our information security program. So, you ready? Let's get into it. I said I would start with quality, so let's talk about that. You have seen the mission statement of AmeriBest to deliver exceptional home care services in our community, one client, one caregiver, and one visit at a time. Well, what does that mean to deliver exceptional services? What does quality look like in home care? We define that right here in our definition of quality. Here we identified 5 distinct elements that must be achieved to say we are providing quality care. So let's go through these. Number 1, the client maintains a dignified and independent life in the comfort of their own home, aided by a capable caregiver who is present during the scheduled hours. Now, as an aside, you may have picked up on this already, but here at AmeriBest, when we talk about customers, we are referring to both our clients and our caregivers. Yeah, the caregiver is an employee, but due to the nature of the home care business, often the caregiver needs to be treated like a customer. But clients and caregivers do have very different roles. So make a note of the distinction we make between clients and caregivers here in our definition of quality. Let's get back to this. Number 2, the caregiver assists the client with activities of daily living and with engaging in community and family activities as the client desires. Number 3, the client is safe and free from abuse, neglect, or injury, and any critical incidents are appropriately reported and addressed. Now, we'll talk more about critical incidents in a few minutes, but as you see here, managing them is very important. Number 4, the client feels respected and directs the care they receive. And finally, number 5, the caregiver is supported and sufficiently trained to provide the level of assistance the client needs. Now, these all sound rather intuitive, don't they? This seems like a rather obvious definition of quality. But believe me, as you engage in your role here at AmeriBest, you will need to refer back to this definition of quality often to help you decide on a best course of action. Use this definition as a guide. When the details of a situation may be overwhelming you, come back to this definition. This is our North Star. This is what we are always trying to achieve. Everything we do here every day should be aligned with achieving what we describe here for quality. And any activity that doesn't fit this definition, well, we probably shouldn't be doing that. Now, you probably noticed that our definition of quality is more directed at the client, and we recognize that the caregiver has to be supported to assist the client, but everything else is about the client. And that's because of this concept from the state of Pennsylvania, person-centered care. Person-centered care is the cornerstone of high-quality home care services. We need to ensure that everything we are doing fits what our clients need. In Pennsylvania, there's also this concept called everyday lives. Everyday lives is about living a regular, ordinary life like everybody else. Now, I know that may not sound enticing, but for people who are aging, or for people who have a physical or intellectual disability, the opportunity to live an ordinary life is so desired because they have challenges that normally would prevent that ordinary life. And that's where we come in. We provide a service that helps our clients go about their day, experiencing the same opportunities, relationships, rights, and responsibilities as everyone else. With our help, our clients get to live in their own homes among their family and community. They get to live their everyday normal lives. So what does this all mean for you? Well, throughout your journey here at AmeriBest, never lose sight of the client. Focus on the client. When facing complications and problems in the work we do, ask yourself and your team, where is the client in all of this? Is this what the client wants? Is this what the client needs? Remember, it all goes back to our definition of quality. So that was quality. Now let's talk about compliance. As a home care agency, we are regulated by the government. There are many rules and regulations we must follow. But for today, I want you to understand two key areas of compliance that are very important to us. The first one is fraud prevention. We bill for services to health insurance plans and government payers. Because of this, we need to be very honest in our financial transactions. Not doing so is considered fraud, and that can get us in a lot of trouble. So there is much we need to do to prevent fraud in our transactions. Now, you will learn about many of our policies and procedures over the coming weeks, but for now, remember these 3 rules regarding fraud prevention. First, always act with integrity. You should, of course, do this with everything. Being honest and not deceiving is very important here. Don't lie or mislead anyone, whether it's about a claim for services, a report on activity in your department, a time record, or a conversation with a customer or a fellow employee. Always act with integrity. Second, know that we can never pay for a client referral. We can't give clients a kickback for joining our agency. We can't pay anyone anything of value to send clients our way. This is forbidden activity when you bill government payers for services. And finally, because our billing for services is entirely based on time records, those time records must always be accurate and complete. You will likely learn much here about controls we have regarding time records. This is important to prevent fraud. So keep these 3 rules in mind. The other big area of compliance I want to talk to you about today is HIPAA. HIPAA stands for the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. Now, if you've worked in healthcare previously, you're likely rather familiar with HIPAA, but if healthcare is new to you, let me explain. So HIPAA is a federal law, and it's often referred to as the privacy law, because what HIPAA requires, along with a bunch of other stuff regarding health insurance, is it requires all organizations that deal with medical or health information about individual patients need to protect that information. It is an important law that affects a lot with what we do with the information we have about our clients. Now, at the end of the session, I will give you 7 important tips to ensure you are complying with HIPAA as you do your job here at AmeriBest. So we'll come back to this topic in just a bit. But while we're talking about compliance, we should talk about critical incidents. As a home care agency, we provide services for what are considered to be vulnerable populations. Our clients are considered to be vulnerable due to their age and/or their disabilities. Because of this, we have an obligation to investigate and report any events we become aware of about our clients' lives that impact their health, their safety, or their rights. This means we need to look into anything going wrong for the client, not just the things we're involved in, but things going wrong in their home, with their family, things that are impacting the life of our client, impacting their health, safety, or rights. So for example, if we see a client exhibiting signs that may indicate that they are being abused or exploited by a family member, we need to look into it and report the incident to the state. Even something as simple as a client going to the hospital can be a critical incident that we need to report. Now, we have a team here at AmeriBest called the Quality Assurance Team, or QA team for short. The QA team's job is to investigate and report all critical incidents. So while you're working with clients, if you become aware of any situation that may be a critical incident, that means any issue that appears to be impacting the health, safety, or rights of the client, you need to report the situation immediately to the QA team. And you can do that by sending an email to qa@ameribest.com. So keep critical incidents in mind. It's an important topic for us. And sort of related to critical incidents are customer complaints. As a customer-focused organization, we are concerned about all complaints we receive. But particularly when we have client complaints, we need to ensure that we are following up with the client and trying our best to resolve their complaint. Documenting and following up on all client complaints is a regulatory mandate for us. We care about all complaints we receive, even the ones that may come from a caregiver, but when it's a client who is complaining, it is important that we are documenting how we follow up on that. Now, you'll learn about our procedures for handling complaints, but for now, I just want you to remember that all client complaints must be documented. And one final topic about our compliance program. You need to know that we are committed to maintaining open lines of communication throughout AmeriBest. If you see anything or become aware of any situation you feel may be a violation of our regulatory obligations, or if you think we are doing anything that just simply is not the right thing to do, you can raise that issue openly. In fact, as an employee, you have an obligation to raise those concerns. Now, who do you talk to about these things? Well, you can always go to your direct supervisor or manager to discuss. I am also a resource to you as the company's compliance officer. You can always bring a concern to me directly. The company has a strict non-retaliation policy, which means that you can never be retaliated against because you raise legitimate concerns about the company. Now, we understand that sometimes there may be sensitive issues that come up. You may want to raise a concern, but you really do not want to identify yourself in reporting it. And for that reason, we have a compliance hotline. This is a confidential reporting service. You can call this number or go to this website to report an issue. This reporting service is operated by an external company, not AmeriBest. They have no way of identifying who is making the call or entering the information into the website. They will capture your report, summarize it, and present it to me and other AmeriBest management for follow-up and investigation. You will remain anonymous throughout the process. Maintaining this confidential reporting compliance hotline is an important tool to ensuring we have open lines of communication. So don't be afraid to use it if you find it necessary. Don't be afraid to speak up if you see anything going on here that you believe may not be the right thing to do. Okay, so we come back to HIPAA. Remember, I said I would end the session with several HIPAA tips that you need to be aware of. HIPAA, as you may remember, is the federal privacy law that defines how we need to protect health-related information. HIPAA says anytime you have what they refer to as protected health information, or PHI for short, you need to keep that information confidential and protect it with certain safeguards. For AmeriBest, PHI, protected health information, is basically any information we have that is tied to our clients. We protect this information by following information security procedures. I'm going to go through 7 procedures. I call them HIPAA tips that you need to make sure that you're following from day one here at AmeriBest. And remember, you will be receiving a copy of these slides, so you'll have all this information to refer back to. So let's get into the 7 HIPAA tips. One of the biggest things you can do to protect our clients' information is simply not spilling the tea on any clients. We are engaged with our clients in very personal ways. Our caregivers are with our clients in their everyday lives, in their homes. We often become aware of rather private and personal matters in our clients' lives. Some situations may seem extraordinary and amusing, and other situations can be rather epic and sadly tragic. But we should never discuss these details and events with anyone outside of those involved with the client's care. We really can't do that. So no spilling the tea. That's your HIPAA tip number 1. HIPAA tip number 2 is about the importance of passwords. I know this can be challenging. We have to keep track of so many passwords today between our professional lives and our personal lives. Here at AmeriBest, we do use other layers of security like multi-factor authentication, but passwords still matter in that. So using unique and strong passwords is important, and keeping your passwords a secret is extremely important. So I need you to take password management very seriously. HIPAA tip number 3 is to use encrypted email. Most of us are not normally emailing out client information, but if you do, you can't send client information in a regular email because that's not a protected means of communication. When emailing client information or any protected information, we need to send what is called an encrypted email. You can do this simply by typing the word ABSECURE, that's ABSECURE, into the subject line of your AmeriBest email. The AB, by the way, stands for AmeriBest. The subject line can still have other words in there, but it just also needs to have ABSECURE in there, because what that will do is it will trigger our email system to encrypt the message you are sending, to protect it from anyone intercepting that email and being able to see the protected information that's in there. The receiver of the email will get a message telling them that they have received an encrypted message from AmeriBest. They will need to log into a portal, authenticating themselves with their email in order to receive the message. And that's how we send protected information by email. It's an important tool in our information security protocols, so make sure you use it when necessary. And while we're on the topic of email, HIPAA tip number 4 is to be aware of phishing emails. Phishing is a common cyber attack where someone is trying to steal information from you. Typically, what they do is send you some obscure email that directs you to click on a link or to open up a file attachment. These emails are usually random and tricky, making you feel like there's some kind of urgency to clicking on the link or opening the file attachment. If you do this, though, the link or the file attachment will open up a program to run on your computer to capture your data, like capturing your usernames or passwords that you use for different systems you log into. Of all the cyber attacks ever launched on companies, phishing emails are the #1 way that these attacks are started. So we need you to be constantly on guard for phishing emails. If you receive emails that look suspicious or aren't expected, do not click the links or open the file attachments. If you get something and are not sure if it's a phishing attempt, send it to me to look at. Because phishing emails can be such a big threat to our information security infrastructure here at AmeriBest, we do regular testing on this. So that means periodically we will send you a suspicious looking email to test you to see if you click on the link or open the file attachment. If you do, you will get notified that you failed the test and you will need to complete additional education on this topic. If you continue to fail these tests, HR disciplinary actions will be followed and could include termination. So don't fall for phishing emails. Really, guys, this is very important. Our HIPAA tip number 5 has to do with where you save information on your computer. Here at AmeriBest, we are in a Microsoft 365 IT environment. And what that means is you should always use OneDrive to save your files. When your PC is set up, it will include your own personal OneDrive account. If you are not sure how to set this up, enter a help desk ticket for assistance. You want to make sure you know how to use and access your OneDrive account. Saving all of your documents in OneDrive provides better protection over those documents. It also ensures those documents will be backed up in the event we have any data loss. Overall, OneDrive provides better security and efficiency with our data, so make sure you're using OneDrive to save all your files. And while we're talking about your computer, HIPAA tip number 6 is about taking care of your computer. On your Windows Start menu, you will see 3 options for powering down. There's sleep, shutdown, and restart. And they're 3 very different things. Now, many people make a habit of not turning off their computer at the end of the day and just letting it go into sleep mode. This makes it faster to wake up the PC the next day. You can put your computer into sleep mode by selecting the sleep option on the power down menu, but you don't even have to. Your PC will enter sleep mode automatically after a period of time of not being used. Using sleep mode is okay, but it's important to restart your computer at least once a week. Restarting your computer allows for a full reboot of the system. It clears out the temporary memory and runs all necessary updates to the system. If you don't regularly restart your computer, it slows down for one thing, but it also becomes more vulnerable to breaking down and can be cyber attacked more readily. So restarting at least once a week is important. Here's what I recommend. Restart Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, take a few minutes to restart your computer. Now, of course, it doesn't have to be Wednesday. I only say that to create an easy reminder. It can be any day. Just be sure to do it at least once a week. Now, there's also this option on the power menu to shut down your computer. And keep in mind, this is not the same as restarting your computer. Very important to note that. Shutting down will not reset your whole system. It is good to shut down when you won't be going back on your computer for a few days, like when you wrap up on a Friday and won't be back until Monday. Shutting down your PC also saves energy. So what I recommend is shut down Fridays. So, remember, shutting down is not the same as restarting, and you need to restart your computer at least once a week. So my recommendation, restart Wednesdays and shut down Fridays. That's how you keep your computer maintained and updated. And that's important for our information security environment. So all this talk about computers, you would think we don't have any paper to work with, but unfortunately we do. While we have eliminated a lot of our paper records, we still have to work with some printed material, and those documents may contain protected health information. So HIPAA tip number 7, our final HIPAA tip today, is you need to be sensitive about where you are keeping paper records. Always maintain a clean desk. Don't leave client or employee information out in the open. Always pick up documents you send to the printer right away. This is how we maintain a secure environment. Okay, you did it, guys. You got through all those HIPAA tips. We also covered why quality is important. Remember to focus on the client. We talked about how compliance is everyone's responsibility, now even yours. So you need to be aware of fraud prevention and critical incident reporting and following up on all client complaints. We talked about if you see something that doesn't seem right, say something about it. We maintain open lines of communication, and we have an anonymous reporting hotline if you need it. And of course, don't forget your 7 HIPAA tips. That's all I have, guys. Welcome aboard. We are so happy you joined the AmeriBest team. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me directly with any questions or comments you have about the information we covered, or any questions or comments about our overall compliance and quality program. I wish you much success and happiness here. Take care.